Hello everyone, my name is Anqi Wu. Welcome to Taiwan is my home. In life, when you hold a step back, you often get unexpectedly kind feedback from people. Today, we're going to talk about a real example. This woman came from Harbin. She had been through the Cultural Revolution, but luckily, she kept her bold and straightforward personality. After she came and married into Taiwan, she discovered the beauty of concession. And also, because of that, even though she is limited by Taiwanese law that she couldn't be a doctor here, she wraps all kinds of healthcare knowledge she knows into dumplings and share it with Taiwanese people. Come kids, come out. Business is good these days. Tony Zhang almost lost her voice, but every morning it's a must to do this. Dear God, please let us know everything, every detail we do, we're doing it for you. They really pay attention to every detail. Take washing this vegetable as an example. First step is to rinse off the dirt. Second, we use this filtering basket to rinse it again. All these work just to take care of family's health. Zhang does not waste any vegetables. Like this colorful wrapper, the orange color comes from carrots, purple comes from purple cabbage, light green comes from green pepper. Sometimes carrots are too hard for kids and the elders, so they don't like it. And they often don't like to eat vegetables. So I put them into the wrapper, and now everyone is happy to have it. But this dough is not at all easy to make. 28, 29. Using machine instead of handmade. Zhang said the veggie dough is not as flexible as regular dough. It requires more squeezing. It has to get to this smooth and soft. See? These are the mashed vegetables part. One dumpling contains more than one kind of vegetables. Later we're going to make cloudy seafood dumplings. Zhang mixes 3 wrappers into one. That way it contains more vegetables and makes the pattern looks cloudy. So now within one dumpling you get 3 kinds of seafood and 3 kinds of vegetables. Every dumpling is highly taken care of. One of the reasons is Zhang's background. In her hometown, wrapping dumpling is a big deal when Chinese New Year and hosting important guests. Everyone has to take part to finish, to make it complete. It's like us here. The colorful life will only be complete when we're all in together. That makes it perfect. How poetic. But while the grown-ups are working, they're very serious. Kids will get hit if they touch it. They say, "Don't touch that. Food is not a toy." They know we were just curious, but we still ended up getting punished. I thought to myself, I want to grow up faster so that I can make dumplings. But later, Zhang's life went through a huge change. At her age of 13, when the Cultural Revolution took place, her family was quickly blacklisted because her father used to work for the KMT. There was a story about dumplings. My father got arrested, not into jail, we called it the ghost circle. Every department has one. It was to isolate troubled people, make them confess to their crime and promise to change. Normally, they let us visit my dad once in 1 or 2 weeks, sometimes a month. It depends. When visiting, mother's dumpling became a luxurious food. Zhang's husband, Zhong Song, is the 2nd generation of Shannonese in Taiwan. He is also familiar with the dumpling business. See? Flexible, right? It's not too watery, it's still alive. If you keep beating it, it'll die. Making stuffing is a knowledge, so does marriage. 20 years ago, Zhong Song went to China for business while Tony Zhang was out for a medical conference. They stayed in the same hotel. It was a winter, and he lost his luggage. We had a talk, and I know he was going to Tianjin the next day. I was unfamiliar with the place, and she was very warm-hearted. She told me, what clothes should I prepare? I was going to Tianjin the next day. I brought plenty of winter clothes, but I lost it. I didn't know what to do. That was how their story began. But at first, Zhang's mother disagreed to let Zhang go marry too far. Plus, Taiwan doesn't admit China's education background. She wouldn't be able to continue being a doctor. My head was in the clouds. She didn't realize her mother's worry didn't come from nothing. I didn't adapt well. My husband's business went down. Money became a bigger issue. Plus the newborn kid. I was lost, and I couldn't dare to dream anything bigger. It was painful. We had a lot of fights. At that time, we lived in the alley. We lived on the end of alley 5th, and there's a guard room on alley 1st. There's an alley 3rd in between, but every time we fought, the guard would call the police. However, Zhang also said it is Taiwan's environment that softened her aggressive personality. I remembered clearly. There was one time I was walking with my little daughter in a small alley, and I heard a sound from hitting hard brakes coming from behind. I looked back. I saw a car driving slowly behind us, following patiently without any honking. I was really touched and surprised. We were in his way, but he was so polite that he didn't even honk once or yell at us to get out of his way. That made me think about the people back in China. Originally, this shop wasn't to make profits. It was a way of putting her medical knowledge into another field. I often make these healthy dumplings at home, whether as a gift for friends or patients, or just for kids. One day, my daughter told me, "Mom, no one will be able to get this kind of dumplings after you die. How about opening a shop and let the dumplings pass on?" One day, she called and told me she wants to open a dumpling shop. I told her it is really tiring, but she said if she didn't do it, she will die with regrets. That was some serious words. Zhang's husband was considerate. He quit his old job and came fully supportive. In the beginning, it was hard. I didn't recognize much of the vegetables, and I made a lot of mistakes. She goes, "You don't even know what this is?" "No." "My husband made this. Say whatever he makes, it's bad. We even had a fight over this." I told him he ruined the image I had built up. So I often blocked this area with this. Speaking of the special decoration in the shop, Zhang bought the materials and made them herself. She said it's probably a bright side of the Cultural Revolution that she learned to make things with her own hands. The difficulties from the past strengthened the will. Zhang's dream has never changed. That is, to let people taste her dumplings. This is cloudy seafood dumpling. Shrimp, cold, dried scallops stuffed inside the wrappers. 1, 2, 3. Here, squeeze the edge, but not too close to the center. The edge should be thin. Don't press on the bottom. If you do, it would explode. Zhang reminds to keep it light. Many people squeeze the bottom too hard and break a hole in the skin. But this is not what costs the most time. To keep dumplings fresh, Zhang always makes just enough stuffing. After 40 or 50 dumplings, they need to be put in the freezer immediately. This is also one of the little things that makes life more fun. It feels like home, like the winter back in Harbin. Minus 30 to 40 degrees, yeah. When I close my eyes, I feel like I'm back in Harbin. Like I was walking in the snow when I was little. The funny thing is, although Zhang is born in a cold county, she is naturally enthusiastic. The moment customers walk in, she brought them refreshing herbal tea, chicken soup, and salads are also refillable. Sometimes she even prepares extra gifts. Wait a second, there's something else. Hold on. The whole restaurant celebrates with customers' birthday together too. Didn't expect this little gem, right? Zhang has another performance in the kitchen. This cult noodle is also made from the colorful dough with big amount of vegetables and nuts. The sauce is made from fruit vinegar, wasabi, and nuts. Later, when I drench the sauce, it's a performance. I like to show off. We came to see old friends, and they told us on our way back to the MRT station there's a dumpling place quite nice, that we should try it. I was hesitated at first, but then I found out the menu is quite suitable for us, healthy. Customers got infected by the happy atmosphere. Everyone is passionate and chatty. I call myself the food god within a 100-mile radius of Xindian. How come I never came here? That's why I gave my lunchbox to my coworker today and insisted on coming over here. The salad is refreshing and crisp. It has many kinds of veggies. The dumplings, seafood, cold noodles are all very good. We come here once in every 2 or 3 weeks. We're old customers here. What's better is they didn't give up on flavors. This crystal dumpling for small appetite people contains pumpkin, chives, meat, and mushrooms. With both owner and customers being passionate, little shop like this is always packed. And the fact that we have medical backgrounds and a love for wrapping dumplings, eating dumplings, researching dumplings, and designing dumplings are all blessings from God, so we should put them to use. At the same time, our time in Taiwan has allowed us to meet even more friends, which is something worthy of being happy about. We never knew that we'd have a home coming from the Boreal to the tropics, with brothers and sisters as well. Seeing customers smile, Zhang always feels delighted and accomplished. The doctor's dumpling shop has grown larger and more beautiful. If you were to pick its flaws, it would be that it's so gorgeous that many customers walk in and out the doors without knowing it's a dumpling shop. Next, we're also going to share another dumpling story. Welcome back to Taiwan is my home. Although dumplings look simple, it takes a lot of effort to make dumplings delicious. The following dumpling shop's owner, enveloping her mother back home and her expert chef brother's ideas into her dumplings. I remember the most that my head constantly had a voice telling me, yes, in the future, this is the title I want to have. 17 years ago, Harbin Princess Little Chu came to Taiwan. Driving past highways, she saw a neon sign shining bright in the pitch black light. She began her Taiwanese dream. After I got married, I would cook for my husband and my mother-in-law, but I didn't know how to cook. At that time, she's still a girl who could not even boil vegetables. People said my cooking was great, just like professional. Everyone said it was delicious, and I was so motivated. I thought to myself, I know how and I can. This is chicken legs, and I first remove the big bones and then continue throw away any remaining bones. Pickling is a tedious task, and this drip of oil, I'll remove it all. At first, she opened the shop as a compensation to family. Little did she know it's becoming a restaurant. The dumplings I made started off ugly. Some were too soggy. My little brother would pick up the soggy ones and say, "What's this? It's so soft." Most credits goes to mother and little brother. At the start of each busy day, Chu would have a cup of avocado milk, eat breakfast, and then work. Having only looked at and experimented with cookbooks after marriage, at first she could rely on some basic skills and childhood memories to wrap dumplings. I sold dumplings at one edge of the market, and someone asked about it and just said, "Wow." They said that many people would take a look at my dumplings and they all say, "Wow, these hands are unskilled at wrapping dumplings." With a foreign language speaker certification, Chu wasn't able to find work in Taiwan after she married. Never was that how she imagined life, but she maintained an optimistic attitude. And he asked me if I thought it was worth it. "Aren't you embarrassed?" I said, "Not at all, not at all." What I do is equal, just as deserving a labor with contribution and reward. Each dumpling requires concentration. Only after careful pinching does the flavor set in. The high-quality broth uses freshly butchered pork meat. 80% is lean, doesn't accumulate oil. She has to wrap 2 large bowls in the same day while the meat filling is still fresh. She ensured that each dumpling must have deep yearnings for beauty. Based on childhood memories, onions, fennel, celery, and pepper all became part of the filling, creating a unique tasting white and fat dumpling. The truth is, the best tasting aren't the largest dumplings. It's not about size, but rather about the tender skin, the sweet-smelling fillings. Chu's dumplings are simple, just like her mother used to make them. Chopping the ingredients delicately, like carving an artwork, requires a type of feeling and sense. The difference between handwork and machine is ingredients cut by machines are oftentimes too soft. In my words, the soul is lost. In the northeastern tongue, we call it soulless. Without the soul, it loses strength and softens. The texture becomes a lot worse. Cabbage strips aren't dried, so nutrients aren't washed away, and the skin uses the most basic flour and water. I've seen other people who add that white thing. I have no clue what that is. She had no clue, so she didn't add it. But when her mother and brother visited Taiwan, they were dissatisfied and said they had no clue what her cooking was. At first, my mother looked at me and that dumpling filling. She'd look at it and say, "What's this?" The cold north is different from the warm Taiwan. Even though the ingredients share the same name, the tastes are different. In mother's mouth, the taste just isn't the same. Northeastern China doesn't have spinach nor loofah. Chu wasn't used to their taste, but eventually wrapped them into her dumplings. I added loofah into my dumplings. We don't have them in northeastern China. When I first had it, even I was unaccustomed to the taste, but after a while, after all those years, I got used to the taste, and I knew, I've become a Taiwanese. Loofah has too much water, so it's hard to wrap. The worst still to come. After the dumplings sold a name, Taiwanese friends pushed her to open a shop. My friends pushed me and said I must cook. I had wrapped dumplings for a while, as well as cooked for family and for friends, and got much encouragement. I even asked my brother to teach me. Northeastern ladies aren't afraid, and the rent was too expensive. The first store was at the city side, a metal-roofed hut alongside the road. Many asked, "Who's going to come eat here?" I hesitated for about a month, but eventually, once I regained my confidence, words like these didn't bother me. Without hesitation, I prepared all my courage and headed for Taiwanese stomachs. With a foolish determination, Chu opened the store. I found Taiwanese people very warming and passionate. Were you scared? No, not at all. So I first cooked their food. "I'm gonna go cook the food." Well, just ask, saying, "I'm going to be cooking, what pan should I use?" The pan sellers would just reply, "Oh, this one." Yeah. Following basic guidelines, she went grocery shopping every day. Ingredients were simple and fresh, and so was the restaurant. She thought that was okay, but her mother and brother was still worried. Is this wrapped properly? Does it look appealing? The iron eggs were falling apart. Remove the bones to add stuff for pickling. Next step, the iron eggs. Using the chicken meat as skin, the iron egg becomes fillings. Even though it's troublesome, all these cuisines to me are a lot of fun. Every time I cook, even though I'm sweating like crazy, I think that I'm doing something enjoyable. I don't find it very tiring. Next, timing. Okay, it's ready. Wow. This is for smoking. The main ingredient is sugar. After smoking with tea leaves until the sugar is reddish. After frying the sugar, add the secret ingredients. Chu placed the chicken leg on the smoking pan with care and delicacy. It's ready. Every time they were ready, I looked over each one and saw that each part was a different color. Some were darker, some were lighter. I thought they looked like handmade pottery. Little brother worried about his romantic and fuller sister. Half a year later, visiting time was up, and the brother had no choice but to leave. Though his sister still couldn't flip the pan, Chu said the first day she had to flip pans herself, she couldn't do it. Thank goodness she stayed positive. Eventually, she succeeded. When she called home, she broke down. I couldn't help but cry, you know? Right then and there, I said, wow, I can flip it now. And I quickly made a phone call to my brother. Once her ability strengthened, the gentle northeastern lady became more skilled in cooking. Many customers even drove, especially from the city, to eat. Chu was so busy that she didn't have time to explain the menu, so she wrote it on the windows instead. She didn't have a list, just dumplings and beef noodles, and every day, whatever she prepared, the customers happily ate. When it's busy, she would just place the food on the counter and tell them to take whatever they ordered. My son's my taster. Yeah, my son. He was only a little boy. He tasted new flavors for me since she was very young. All these flavors that I have were all approved by my son. As her skills grew, so did her courage. Her Taiwanese dream became more of a reality. She wanted a family and a restaurant she was proud of. Whenever she's in the kitchen, she's nervous about things she didn't know. Wasting time is suicide, so I asked out of my employees to be fast. We had to be quick. We couldn't waste customers' time. Is the white meat cooked yet? Where's the order of mushroom soup? Hurry! 2 orders of radish cakes, hurry! Bring the chicken broth, hurry! Inside the kitchen, Chu was the queen of conducting and control, but once inside the restaurant, she was hospitable with customers. The first I ate one of the dumplings, I said, wow, they have dumplings with chili, fennel. There's so many variations. There are even specialty recipes. I'm thankful to all my customers as well as my employees. The noodle shop's business stabilized, moved to a larger space. Old customers followed. Earning compliments from even picky eaters brought Chu the greatest pleasure. She felt like she was meant to come to Taiwan. I've tried thinking about returning to Harbin. It's my hometown. But after 1 month, I told my mother that I wasn't staying. I was still leaving. I felt that Taiwan was familiar and close to me. Chu felt that God gave her much luck to let her express her creativity and give back to customers. Coming from the cold Harbin to the sunny Taichung, the missus who once couldn't cook managed after years of training and even became a creative cook. There were many Taiwanese vegetables I hadn't even seen before, so I just used my imagination to turn them into a dish. Mushroom tomato soup isn't a dish from northeastern China, but something Chu created from living in Taiwan. After life trained her a bit, Chu's days also become brighter. My life, especially the most mature periods, all happened in Taiwan. The leading persons of today's 2 stories coincidentally are both dumpling experts and are both from the distant Harbin. Sure, Taiwan isn't very big, but there are many wonders that attract and accept immigrants from all over. We hope to see you next time.